Hello everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Park, where we take some time out from building our favourite dinosaur parks to look at the real-world history and science behind some of our favourite dinosaurs and prehistoric creatures. And today we have another soon-to-be creature coming in Jurassic World Evolution 2. However, before we get to our little Chris Pratt chomper, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more from all of us at Triclaw Gaming. So what is that? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Nope, it's a Dimorphodon. This little aggressive Jack Russell of a pterosaur was seen all over Jurassic World, doing its best to make out with, doing its best to affectionately nibble, doing its best to kill Owen Grady. But was this pterosaur really that aggressive? Well, let's investigate. Before we look at Dimorphodon in detail, let's start by getting the basics down. Pterosaurs are not dinosaurs. They're a separate genus of ancient reptile, which first appeared in the fossil record around 228 million years ago in the late Triassic period, and they soared over the heads of the dinosaurs right up until the Earth ran into some trouble 65 million years ago. Pterosaurs come in many shapes and sizes, but they all share some general characteristics. Looking at a pterosaur lying flat, you can see that you have two legs, two arms, and a main body. The distinctive feature of pterosaurs, however, is the highly elongated finger, which supports a fleshy membrane. This membrane forms a wing between the finger bone and the legs. All pterosaurs are built light. Their bones are hollow and very thin, but built similar to bird bones. They resist the twisting forces that occur during flight, and as such, enabled the pterosaurs to be capable flyers. Pterosaurs come in two distinctive family groupings: the basal pterosaurs, which are generally smaller, evolutionarily more primitive, and they often have tails, and the pterodactyloids, which reduce the tail, developed larger heads, crests, and grew to much bigger sizes. But in general, both types come in different shapes and sizes. Dimorphodon belongs to the more primitive basal category. It was first named in 1859 by one of the most important names in paleontology, British scientist Richard Owen. Why is he so important, you ask? Well, it was Richard Owen who first coined the term dinosauria during his early work on British fossil remains. It is because of Owen that we all know the word dinosaur. Dimorphodon itself was first discovered in England at a place called Lyme Regis. This is one of the biggest sites in the UK for fossil discovery, being part of the Jurassic coast and an area now considered a World Heritage Site. The original fossils, first collected by Mary Anning, were found in 1828. Mary Anning is quite a figure herself. She was a long-term collector in the region, having been collecting for at least 17 years. Previously, she'd made a number of discoveries, from simple ammonites to ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs. In later years, some have questioned whether she is one of the first great women of paleontology, or instead was someone who exploited the area for profit. Further work in 1858 was later carried out by Owen after more examples of the animal were discovered, and he decided to rename the animal from its original naming of Pterodactylus macroonyx to Dimorphodon. This name comes from the Greek words di, meaning two, morph, meaning shape, and odon, meaning tooth, altogether giving the animal the meaning two-shaped tooth, which directly related to Dimorphodon's two distinctive types of teeth in its jaws, which is a rarity among reptiles. And this brings us on to Dimorphodon as a whole. What was it like? Well, nothing like its Jurassic World depictions. Like other basal pterosaurs, Dimorphodon featured a long tail and a small head. In total, the creature was about a meter long, with a wingspan only a little larger. The skull of Dimorphodon takes up around 25% of the creature's overall size. While bulky in look, it actually is very light due to large skull openings. Owen himself was very impressed with the design of the skull, which he considered one of the most economical examples of strength versus weight. Inside the jaws, Dimorphodon featured large fang-like teeth at the front, with smaller flat-pointed teeth at the rear. The rear teeth themselves have been referred to by Mark Whitton, a paleontologist who works for the University of Portsmouth in the UK, as similar to a hacksaw blade, and they show signs of significant wear. So how do we think that it lived? Well, the bones do tell us some things. It had very robust hind limbs, and oddly enough, this robust nature did lead to a strange idea that they might have run or walked on 2 legs, which proliferated in the 80s and the 90s, but that is considered not an accurate representation these days. Mark Whitten has called the creature in 2008 a reluctant flyer due to various features that indicate it was probably a poor flyer. This includes having short wings, and rather than gliding for long distances, it probably would have been quite a frantic flyer similar to a woodpecker. It probably relied on short flights that went not very far. In essence, Dimorphodon may have found it impossible to glide, like most depictions of pterosaurs that we see in the media. On the ground, it would have walked on 4s, and was probably a competent climber and climbed up trees like a modern-day squirrel, which almost makes it sound rather cute and fluffy. Dimorphodon also kind of has a meme around it, the Puffindon. Depictions of the creature with a mouthful of fish and similar colours and stripes on its head are common due to the similarities apparently between the head of a puffin and our pterosaur. Unfortunately, this is just a poor reconstruction, and Mark Whitten thinks it's unlikely the creature hunted fish. But were Chris Pratt often on the menu? Well, probably not. The Dimorphodon had jaws and muscle structures suited for a snap and hold method of feeding. The front pointed teeth grasped the prey before it moved backwards for crushing and tearing. Some paleontologists have suggested that it primarily ate insects. However, examinations of the wear on the teeth indicates primarily vertebrate feeding, probably small lizards and mammals. So what was the world of Dimorphodon like? Dimorphodon itself lived about 200 million years ago in the early Jurassic. At this time, most of Britain was underwater and would be drenched in sunshine thanks to tropical conditions. Across the southern areas of the UK, there were significant marine conditions, and the Dimorphodon would have lived amongst the tropical islands that existed. In these conditions, just after the Triassic extinction, various important reptilian groups proliferated. This didn't just include the first primitive dinosaurs like stegosaurs and sauropods, but also included the ichthyosaurs and the plesiosaurs. I like to imagine the Dimorphodon similar to the various unique parrots and birds that exist on a number of modern-day islands, and it probably would have used its climbing abilities to scamper up the trees, either for hunting or for safety from the primitive dinosaurs, and would have chowed down on insects and smaller animals. I can also imagine these animals crowding around anything washed up on the shore like modern-day seagulls, and probably just as annoying. Dimorphodon is, while small and maybe not as famous as other pterosaurs, one with a long history. In fact, in 2021, the Royal Mint of Britain created a celebratory coin that celebrated Mary Anning and the discovery of Dimorphodon itself, and if you want, you can go and bag yourself your own by checking out the link below. If you want to go and see the skeleton of Dimorphodon, you could check out the Rainbow Forest Museum in Arizona, where they have a reconstruction on display. So what do you think of Dimorphodon? Are you excited to see this little Owen Grady Nommer in JWE2? Let me know in the comments section, and next time on Beyond the Park, we'll be looking at one of my favourite marine reptiles of all time, and one infamous amongst those who watched Walking with Dinosaurs as a kid. But for now, don't forget to like and subscribe if you've not already, and I'll see you next time for more Beyond the Park.